Barbara Lison, very good to have you here on our National Library Conference. It's digital citizenship, a very important big topic. A lot of questions about that land on my desk that I see passing by. I'm going to waste a little time introducing you because I want to hear you. I want to see your marvelous slides. I just want to say to the people watching this, if you have any questions, put them in the chat and I will see them here on my other screen and I will make sure that they get to you, Barbara, in due time. Barbara Lison, for the people who don't know, and those are very few, is the director of the Bremen Public Library, one of the largest public libraries in Germany. Barbara, you have been involved in Aplida in several innumerable library associations and institutions in Europe. Currently, you are the president-elect of IFLA, and it will be this August that you will become president of this one marvelous organization. So there's a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about pandemic, we're going to talk about libraries, the future of libraries on a local, more or less, on a national scale, but also on a global scale. I will shut up and give the floor to you. And please, Barbara, share your slides and go.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share my slides now. And let's start.
There we go.
Let's start with the presentation. Hello, everybody. I want to talk about German libraries and especially Bremen Library as an example, how we cared for the public and for ourselves in the pandemic. And then in the end, of course, Eric just said that I am the president-elect of IFLA, just a glimpse onto IFLA, where we are with IFLA. So the 16th of March, 2020, almost a year ago, was a horrible day because this was the beginning of the pandemic. And I think I was on the 13th of March, I was in Utrecht trying to, to open the new library. And then traveling back on the train, my staff and I, we decided that we have to close on the 16th of March. So what happened then? The library shut down was from the 16th of March to the 3rd of May. And here you see some staff on one of our social media posts, stay home. That was the message which we had. But staying home for the patrons did not mean stop using the library. That is an important issue. So we immediately were asked, how can we use the library, mainly online, of course. And so we arranged something for even more for the online presence of the library and for the online services of the library. And what we did was, of course, we opened up online registration, which we already had, but of course that was connected with fees. So we said online registration without fees for a certain amount of time until the end of shutdown. And no overdue fines, of course, until the library is open, because all the media which were out, of course, could not be brought back. So that was important. And we had a lot of new registrations, but also that meant for us that we had a lot of money losing. For the registration money for the last year, we had minus 60,000 euros. And for the overdue fines, we gave the patrons the chance of saving 40,000 euros, which is quite a lot. But of course, this was not the only thing which we did. We also invented very quickly, not only having the ebook services enhanced, but we invented very quickly a service which was called Stadtbibliothek to go, public library to go, a first aid against boredom, sorry. And that was something which was really important for the librarians because they were engaged. They kind of, if not in person and physically, but they kind of met their public. And we had several thousand demands for physical media. And this is something which is an insight that we are still, in spite of our big e-services which we have, people want physical media. That is something which is important to know and important to take into account. So I think as everywhere, people could order through the website or even through telephone. But still, of course, this all did not enhance our lendings. So on the whole, the lending of physical media was reduced by 60%. Sorry, was reduced by 20%. The visits to the library were reduced by 40%, which was really good because yesterday I just heard that the visits to the museums in Germany are reduced by 60%. Last year. So that is something which is important. So this immediate demand was very well accepted. And I give you an example by an Irishman. He's an author, He's an author and lives in Bremen. And he almost every day ordered some material. And you can see what he says. That book takeaway service, you simply email or call, I really need this book, so off I bike down, and mille grazie to you people, Barbara, Lison, please pass this on. So this was not the only response, of course, but that was very nice to have responses like this. Then, of course, the classical programs which we have, which is the children's book cinema, was, of course, transformed into the online version through the website and, of course, through social media. And our people were enhanced, tried to enhance the presence of the library also in the social media. And the thing is that they they're very inventive. And I want to show you something which two people, a bit ironically, did as book workout. Have a look. So they posted this, of course, with music, but I don't know why the music doesn't work.
Yeah, that's always.
And then relax. So that is something which was very, very funny, and we had very good responses for this. And of course, you know, every library is supporting pupils and students with their services, like you can see here down in the bottom, but this was not possible anymore. So we invented the first aid for school kids, a telephone or an email service for the school kids which needed some information. So this is just an example of some measures which we took. On the 4th of May, we opened again. And look at the library, how it looked. It was really something different. When we opened, you can see outside, and still is outside, a line with the physical distancing, of course. We try to have this, but it's really interesting that and also inside in front of the entrance of the library, people are very disciplined and they are waiting in line, and they are very, very disciplined. That's very nice. So, but where really is our third place meaning, our third place function? And I just thought, when I made this slide, I thought we stopped being a hotspot for people. We have been a hotspot for people, but there was a virus, and there was hotspots for the virus everywhere in the country. So we just had to change being a hotspot for the people, not to become a hotspot for the virus. And we gave the people the notion, get out as quickly as you can. That is really a bad notion for a library. Yes. And you can see here now how this works, all these signals and this signage. And when people wanted to enter, they had to take a shopping basket. At the beginning, we had 100 shopping baskets to be distributed. And only when one of the shopping baskets came back with the patron, of course, then the next patron could enter the library. I think many libraries did this, and now, of course, there are technical devices for this to have this, but still it's important to give something physical to them so that people remind that they should not stay there. That is really horrible. And when you look at these pictures, everyone could see, please go out. Please go out. You are not welcomed here. This is just horrible for a library. And there was no Wi-Fi neither, because Wi-Fi would have people stayed. And actually now I was told for this actual times that people turn upside down the shopping baskets now and just take a seat on the shopping baskets instead of taking a seat on the chairs. So that is really horrible. And of course, everyone had to wear a mask. The staff and the visitors, and of course also our mascot at the children's library had to wear a mask and was wearing a mask, has been wearing a mask actually. So you can see how this looks like, not really very pretty, not really welcoming. But we also invented things trying to bring in some fun and fantasy services to the library. So we had a drive-in picture book cinema. You remember that I said during the closure of the library, we had the picture book cinema online, and we still have. But then our staff invented, and was very inventive everywhere, invented this picture book cinema, like the big cinemas where people now drive in again, like in the 60s or in the 70s. And of course, the meetings and events in the libraries, you can see in former times or normal times, if there are normal times, we have 180 people in these premises, and now it's 25. But people still come, and they value very much the opening of the library and the efforts of the staff to serve them. That is so good, and our staff is so happy reading these things, like fabulous, thanks for keeping the library open. Or it's great that you are here in these times. It's an important place. I hope not only in these times, but still. So I want to come to the staff, because the heart of the library is the staff. It is, of course, the building, the premises, the media which we have, but the staff is the important heart of the library. And how can the staff be strengthened to be resilient and persevering? So resilience, resilience has a lot of factors, positive approaches to one's own behavior, and to also to the world at a whole. And you see all these words. I think you know all of them. But this is the circle of being strong enough, resilient enough. And I think there is one thing missing. That is humor, because when you have all these emotional stability and optimism and solution orientation, and you have not the sense of humor, of good humor, then I think there might be missing something. And this picture is not taken in Bremen, but it's taken from Düsseldorf Public Library. And I love the toilet paper Christmas tree so much. It's also, of course, irony, talking about, I think in the Netherlands, your prime minister also said that you have toilet paper for the next, I don't know, million years or so. And so this was, I think, a very good thing. So humor is also, in my opinion, a very, very important factor for creating resilience. Well, now gets a bit more serious. So what can managers do to support the resilience and perseverance of the staff? And you see there a lot of means, a lot of behavioral support. I think important is give room for proactive attitudes. That is very important. Or encourage positive attitudes for learning, because learning also may stabilize you, brings you into new worlds and gives you new ideas. That is so important. And of course, encourage the shifts in perspective and approaches. Don't live always in a tunnel. And I think the managers should enhance this positive attitude of improving perhaps or enhancing resilience and perseverance. I want now to show you some voices from the staff, because several times during the pandemic, we asked the staff how they feel and how they are getting on. So here come some reactions. So what did the staff say? They say what we learned. I think important is that they learned patience. They mirrored us, that they were totally free to try out something new, totally free. I think that is very nice. And they say that home office can be helpful, but it's not desirable for a longer period, because they want to be in the team. They want to know, you see here, they say they want the emotional importance of the team. They cherish the emotional importance of being a team member. And of course, being in a library which is paid by tax money, they also valued to have a secure job in public service, being surrounded by so much insecurity for other jobs and so on. And how did they feel? I mean, what they learned and how did they feel? You see, they said, we are lonesome and isolated because we are missing the customers. That is the relationship between the staff and the customers, which is so important. Then also they said that they are proud to show their service attitude in a new way, and that this service attitude was also very much appreciated. But also they were fearful and apprehensive because they were anxious not to be infected. That is, of course, also a manager issue, which has to be helped and supported by supplying different measures and different material, perhaps. And then what will the staff keep for the future? So they want to improve, expand, and enhance the digital services. That is very nice. And you see, they want to get back to the third place. So this is so important. They want to welcome the customers and the patrons again. Let's have a look how the senior staff reacted to this. They understood that they should give even more opportunities to get a sense of achievement for the staff. They should promote the motto, probieren geht über studieren. So not everything is known before, just try out something. And I found the Dutch saying, het bewijs van de pudding zit in het eten. I don't know whether this is okay, but I found that. And then we are talking in Bremen a lot about the Pareto principle. So that means that few vital tasks are needed only 20% of the time, but you get 80% of the results. So that is a very important principle of being efficient. And what about today? We are still open. You see, it's the same picture, almost the same picture as we had on the 4th of May. And but when you look at Germany, so in November, there were four states in Germany where the opening of public libraries was not allowed already. 4, you can see there's the closed ones. And in December, there were only 3 libraries or 3 states in Germany where public libraries could be open. So, you know, we are a federal state. So if people live in Lower Saxony, where the public libraries are not allowed to be open, and come to Bremen, they can come to the public library. That is a bit I don't know, could you say ridiculous for maybe people from other countries, but that is how it works. And I think it's not the only country, but we have that situation. So for the last 10 minutes, let's have a look at IFLA and how IFLA is reacting in the pandemic. How is a global organization acting in the pandemic? You can see this is the governing board, and this picture was not taken in 2020, but it was taken in December 2019. And it was used for the Christmas card of 2020. So good wishes for the Christmas cards of 2020. But how can a global organization work under the pandemic conditions? And this is something IFLA works day and night. Of course they don't, but it is day and night, because when you look at our president's position, which is Australia, the south coast of Australia in Melbourne, when we have a meeting between Melbourne and, let's say, Vancouver at the west coast of the USA, that means that our president might be already ready for going to bed at 10 o'clock p.m. And on the same day, actually, our colleague of the governing board in Vancouver is just getting up at 5 o'clock. So she has maybe a coffee or a tea, and I wish our president would have a glass of wine. And can you imagine how important this is to meet in one place when you are a global organization and not meet on these different time zones and always have a look how works this. So sometimes I have a meeting at 10 o'clock at night, and sometimes I have a meeting at 5 o'clock in the morning, or sometimes I have a meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's really, really, well, it is annoying, I can tell you, but it works. It works, and we have a lot of good meetings. Of course, IFLA is also helping everyone with the pandemic, and wants to give information, useful information as much as possible, only on the website, of course, and through webinars. You know this? This is one of the most important pictures of the IFLA Congress. That is the volunteers, and that is the Congress in Athens. You see people close to each other, everything. And again, people close to each other, we are IFLA. But what does that mean? No Congress last year. 2020, no Congress. 2021, where the Congress should have been taken place in Rotterdam, it will be only a virtual Congress. And we are planning for this. This is quite complicated to have a virtual Congress when you remember all the different time zones about which we just talked. Maybe we are hoping that we will have in 2022 a hybrid Congress. That means there will be events taking place in a certain country, hopefully Dublin in Ireland. And we don't know what's happening in these next years. Of course, as everyone does, hybrid conferences are really, what would you say, are really modern coming up. I think they will. That will be the new way of doing things. And the General Assembly, which is one of the most important legal meetings of IFLA. On the left photo, you can see the General Assembly in Athens, about 500 to 600 people sitting there. And on the right photo, you can see the General Assembly 2020 having taken place in The Hague. And apart from me and the Secretary General and 3 people of staff, there were only 2 other people. And you know, one of those, this was Lily Knibberer, and she had a lot of proxies for the voting. So that was really very strange. That was really very strange. So let's come to my personal conclusion. Still, I think we have been growing and thriving in the crisis. We know that we have to develop, and we are still in development. And that means many people now in this crisis, when they talk about the crisis, they say, well, how will the new normal be? And we have to get rid of the old normal. But when thinking about this, I think there never was an old normal. at least not for the libraries, because we had a big development in the last 20 years. And I'm sure there won't be a new normal, because there will never be a normal for us. That is important. We have to develop, and we have to look at the places outside of our walls, at the development outside of our walls, and find what's getting on, the trends, get the trends into the library, and turn the trends, transform the trends into the library services, and make use of everything which is possible to give a good service. So there'll never be a new normal, I would say. So let's be agile, never give up creating our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. I already have Caroline Muller here in the chat saying like the resilient staff survey. Is it available? Can you share it with us? Can you send it to me and I will post it somewhere?
Well, it's in German, of course.
Well, we'll
it's in German, but I can send it to you. Yes, sure, I can send it to you. It's of course a reduction of many other things, but I can send it to you. Sure.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'll make sure that it gets to Caroline, or we'll post it somewhere. Barbara, it's so much input. Where shall I start? The digital citizenship. That's the theme of this conference. Do you feel that the pandemic has, and it's a bit of an obvious question maybe, but has it really been an sort of an acceleration of the digital transformation for the citizens as such? Or do you still feel that there's a long way to go? Has it really a positive influence on that, on digital citizenship, or is it so and so?
Well, when it comes to the libraries, I think we were on the path, we were on the track already. And of course, it's an enhancement. I don't think that there was no paradigm shift for our work, no paradigm shift at all, because we were already on that track, on the digital track, for the services, and I don't talk about catalogs in this, but for the services. Of course, for other institutions, that was something new. Especially, I think, for other cultural institutions like theater, orchestras, music, they enhanced very much their digital track, and also the normal public administration as well. And when you look into German schools, it's still rather horrifying what we hear and listen about how this homeschooling, this online homeschooling works. There are administrative problems, there are knowledge problems, there are resources problems, and of course there are language problems as well, and social problems, because how can you have home office, how can you have homeschooling with 5 people in a 2-room flat? You cannot have this. Yeah. So this is conditions which really are against the digital track. And of course, the need of our customers for physical media, it was not astonishing, was not really creating happiness, because we thought, well, we have this wonderful online services and the ebooks are there and all this. And all of a sudden they wanted physical media in a very highly demand.
Yes. That's very interesting. And another thing that I was interested in, like you said, you had a loss of money because of the free registrations and the skipping of the overdue fees. Are there still plans of keeping those things free after the pandemic, when there's no new normal, but when everything will be people will be going to the library again? Will you keep it up for free, or will you go back to the overdue fee, or what is the idea?
No, unfortunately not. We try to get compensation for the losses, because there is central money which might be distributed for paying for masks and for other things, but also for things like like having losses. And at least not the Public Library of Bremen, because we are a so-called public enterprise. So we have a budget and we don't get much more money. But actually, this demand came to the politicians as well. And so we said we need more money to buy more e-services, to buy more e-books. And we got that money very quickly, much faster than any time. So, but unfortunately, we have to go back to this money paying for the library.
Well, hopefully, with the right support in the future, we may be able to change it around. Because I think in a digital age, overdue fee, we're just working towards a new form of working.
Well, Eric, our overdue fees are going down because of the ebook lending, because there are no overdue fees for lending ebooks. No.
That is very true.
Yeah, we have a loss of 20% already in the last 10 years since we lent out ebooks.
Well, as well as Caroline, I was very happy and impressed with the notes you had on the staff. I was also impressed with that's the German way of doing things. You were so well behaved when you stand in a queue. You're keeping distances. In the Netherlands, this would go terribly wrong. But you are so well behaved in that. But having said that, and your happy customers that were using the services, did they also come up with remarkable ideas? Were there any new ideas that came from customers that libraries were able to use to implement that you know of?
No. We got positive responses also online, but no new ideas. The customers were most of the well behaved. Some of them did not want to wear masks, but then they had to leave the library. That's always, we had to do this. Yes. And we have to safeguard our staff as well. That is important.
And with the staff, I know that in the Netherlands we set up, when the pandemic hits, we set up a sort of a crisis library webpage from the National Library here, and it's turned after a while into an opportunities sort of platform to make it a little bit more positive. And one of the ingredients or next to this was the library campus. And we noticed that many librarians started to follow courses, as you said earlier. Was there also in Germany a sort of a national approach, a sort of a strategy of how to motivate staff or how to give them access to learning material?
Well, you have really the advantage of having the National Library, the Koninklijke Bibliotheek, as a center for the services for the public libraries as well. Yes. We don't have this in Germany. Our National Library has a very, very, very little services for public libraries at all. There is no national strategy apart from the National Library Association, of course, and the associations for the staff. So I think the German Library Association did what they could in bringing information to the customers. They also argued, like have you seen this picture book cinema? There was a license question. Could we do the picture book cinema through social media? Because we did not get the licenses from the publishers. So at the very beginning of the pandemic, the German Library Association tried to get into contact with the publishers to get the allowance for this, and we got them. We got it. Okay. They were a bit reluctant though, but we got it. So when they can act, they are acting, but of course it's limited. And I must say, you are really very lucky to have this central service from the Koninklijke Bibliotheek.
Well, thank you so much, and I hope that the audience will also agree to that. But I think well,
I know about the complications.
No, considering how well it was used, I definitely, and also the sort of ideas that were put on this platform for other people to share. I think that was really one of the positive things that we had during this whole time. I think, and as you said in your presentations, right, librarians, they proved that they stepped up to the occasion. They really rise to the occasion, and they tried their best to help to be a positive force in this whole difficult time. So hooray for librarians. That's what I say, always.
Yes, that's right.
Coming back to IFLA, because before we close down, coming back to IFLA, I know from working with IFLA and being with you guys that there are so many differences in the world, and IFLA is trying to bring the world, as you mentioned, in the 24/7 sort of picture that everybody is working on libraries all the time, together those differences. But this may be even more challenging these times, especially when it comes to the digital sort of services in some developing countries and that sort of thing. Do you have a good hope that IFLA can play an important part in that and be of meaning to countries all over the world?
Yes, I think that's even more important than ever, because when we have a look beyond the pandemic, there will be a lot of crises in the world, and also the matter, where is culture in the individual countries, in which position? And within the culture, the libraries normally are not at the first place. So I think to give general advice for advocacy, how to work in this sense, how to position the libraries not in front, but in a more front position than they are. IFLA, that's really important, and that's a task for IFLA, has been a task and is even more a task beyond the pandemic. And also in the pandemic, IFLA gives a lot of information about little things. I just gave you this one webinar, but when you go to the IFLA website, you find a lot of information for advocacy. I think advocacy at this moment is more important, maybe, than all the regulations for how to care for the pandemic.
And the last question, Barbara, then I'll let you go. You have 2 years ahead of you as a president.
Yeah.
What is and the times are like a bit uncertain, but I hope we will get to a better time. What are your main goals in the 2 years? What sort of mark, the Barbara mark, do you want to leave on IFLA?
Well, my main goals are to enhance the advocacy issue of IFLA. So you see, IFLA has two tracks. One track is the professional track, and one track is the policy track and politics track of world. So I want to have a good balance between it. Still, the professional track has been a longer tradition. So the politics track should be enhanced, should be empowered. And you know, we have we are going to have new statutes, hopefully, when the General Assembly endorses these statutes. And they give IFLA a really modern way of working. And one of my big tasks is to bring that into life, into reality. So to bring the new tasks to the members, to the libraries, and give them the opportunity to have a more modern IFLA and to understand how a more modern IFLA should function and should work. That is something very important as well.
Okay, Barbara, well, thank you so much for your time and for talking to us. And no doubt we'll be talking soon, and I'll see you later. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you very much, and thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.